I love when the horns come in. Hey everybody, I'm Captain Tommy Scoville. You're on the lifeboat. Big thanks to Marv. Love that theme song. All right, people. I'm going to tell you something. Share this video. I don't care if you disappear for a second to share this video, because I'm going to tell you something right now. It's going to get buried because we're not pulling punches. I'm not going to get angry. I'm not going to get upset. But we're going to talk about a lot of stuff today that is truth, that is frightening. So let's start with some fun, shall we? It is now against the law to lie down on the street in Reno, Nevada. Actually, anywhere in the state. You also can't put up a chair and sit down. You can't put down a blanket. You can't stand for any length of time that they deem improper. In Michigan, it is illegal to leave the stage if you are an entertainer. And nationwide, they have a bill right now going in front of Congress that will eliminate standardized testing. No more standardized testing. You remember in school we took those little tests and you'd fill out the little circles, right? I think they used to be called cognitive test, CTBS. I don't remember what the acronym was for, but it's CTBS testing. They're going to do away with that because it's racist. It's standardized, meaning everyone takes it. But that's racist. So there's a bill in Congress right now to talk about that. There is a bill that has already passed Congress that is going to give cell phones, it is going to give people with cell phones through an app the opportunity to schedule illegally coming into the United States of America. Let me say that one more time. There is an app that they built that will allow people coming into this country illegally to schedule what time they enter the country illegally to speed up paperwork. Run that one through your dome. Those laws were all done this year. However, there is not a law against xylazine, a substance that we're going to talk about today. Xylazine is not a controlled substance in the United States of America. Now, you may be saying, what is xylazine? Xylazine is a drug that was designed not for human beings. Sadly, that's who's consuming it. But it was not designed for human beings. It was designed for other mammals, large ones, cattle, horses, primarily those two, bulls. And it is used as a sedative, an anesthesia, a muscle relaxer, and an analgesic, a pain medicine for horses and cattle and bulls primarily. It's an analog of a drug called clonidine. And there are people on this boat who know what clonidine is. Clonidine is the chemical name for a name brand drug called Klonopin. And it is a rowdy benzodiazepine. Well, this is an analog of that drug, and it is sold primarily in preloaded syringes. However, you can buy it in bulk, in powder form. Tell you what, take a wild guess where it comes from. I bet you've already figured that one out. Xylazine first made the scene in Philadelphia, primarily on Kensington Street, because that is the drug capital of Philadelphia. But on Kensington Street is the first place in America where we saw xylazine, and it was cut with fent. It was cut with tar when tar was still around. And it was the only city in the U.S. It was almost like a test market. And amazingly, let me tell you how they did it. And I watched about a dozen interviews with people today who said, I was on my way to the clinic, man. I had been clean for a long time. People pulled up, got out of the car, and threw bags of it on the ground. They got out of the car and just started throwing handfuls of bags of something that has come to be called tranq. And the reason it's called that is because this is a horse tranquilizer. Is really what it is. It's a horse tranquilizer. And horses and human beings are built really different. They really are. in a lot of ways. But one is how our subcutaneous layer is built. When you go directly under the skin, between the skin and the muscle, even if you are really fit, there's a layer of fat. It's a teeny layer of fat. And if you've ever looked at it through like a microscope or whatever, it looks a lot like a sponge. It's soft tissue between the dermis, right? It goes you have your dermis, which is the top layer of skin. You have the subdermis below it, right? And then below that is the subcutaneous layer. Well, on horses, it doesn't exist much, which means that if a teeny amount of xylazine leaks out of the syringe, or if it, on the way out, some of it just leaks out, it's not really an issue because horses are all muscle. Human beings, on the other hand, are not. And because of that, there are some side effects from this. The number of amputations worldwide, and especially in the United States, that are happening because of xylazine are astounding. People losing limbs. You see, what happens is you shoot this dope, you get really, really whacked, and then you wake up the following day and you have these small little black marks, and those small black marks will get about that big over the course of a couple of days, and they start to divot out. And it almost looks like a flesh-eating disease. But of course, these people inject into the wounds. Makes it easier to find a vein. And sadly, they can't stop. So I want you to imagine trying to kick a benzo that you're banging into a vein. We know what benzo withdrawal is. We talk about it every day here on the boat. What happens if you quit benzos cold turkey? You die. You go into seizures. And that's on Valium, right? That's on really, really weak, by comparison, benzodiazepines. This is the strongest benzodiazepine you're going to find anywhere on the planet right now. There's nothing out there stronger. Of the dope that was seized in Philadelphia this year, 90% of all of the dope seized was cut with xylazine. I'm going to say that one more time so that everybody hears this. 90% of the dope that was seized, caught by police officers, right? Or anybody else for that matter, feds, DEA, whatever, contains xylazine. Now, you may ask yourself, why would you take a drug so strong that it's killing people and cut it with a benzo that is the strongest respiratory depressant benzo that's ever made? Well, you really just have to wonder if that's such a great idea. Now, there are people who are deep into the drug life who will say, they do that because it gives it legs, so that way you don't have to shoot as often. Let me tell you something. There's not a dope dealer out there that doesn't want you shooting more often. That is one of the dumbest concepts in history. They want you banging dope every 5 minutes. So bags are normally sold by the 10th, which means a 10th of a gram. And if you put up an entire $100, you might get 13 or 14 of them instead of 10. But most people, especially at that, people on Kensington are hustling up enough money to buy a 10, right? And usually a 10th is $10. Trank goes for $2 a bag. People, I want you to say that again, and I really want you to wrap your brain around it. They're selling this for $2 a bag. $2 a bag. There was an epidemic, thank God not in this country, that was really prevalent in the 90s and the early 2000s of something called crocodile. And it was often called crocodile, right? Because we're in another country, but it's crocodile was the name of the drug. And crocodile was made by soaking codeine in any form, Tylenol 3 tablets, whatever. But soaking codeine in diesel fuel. I'm not even kidding. And what made crocodile really famous was it would eat your skin the first time you did it. And the mortality rate with people who started doing this drug was about 90%. The people who started doing crocodile died from it. Plain and simple. You do croc, you die. But it gave you this almost lizard-like appearance on your skin, which, by the way, had nothing to do with why they called it crocodile. In their language, it means something completely different. But it was a nice, it was easy to remember because it did make you look like you had crocodile skin. And in the United States, I remember talking to drug addicts who said, man, forget it. You think I would do that? Well, they're doing it now. They're doing it now. 90% of all of the bags in Philly are being cut with this. And I did a show about Trank, Mark and I, probably 6 months ago, 5 months ago, something like that. We did a show on Trank because it's a very frightening thing. And you see the pictures and people look like zombies. This stuff nods you out so bad that you fold at the waist like a wallet. You know what I mean? and people are standing there in the street just unconscious, standing up. And they would film driving down Kensington. Every 4 feet is somebody knotted over at the waist or slumped against a building or laying on the ground. And you think, this is America? This is happening in the good old US of A, right out in public. And the police, I watched an interview today, and the cops said, what are we going to do? Arrest every single one of them? You drive down Kensington, you're going to see 5,000 people like that. Where the hell are you going to put them? You see, our enemies have overwhelmed the system. But if it stopped there, it would be awful. But it's not even close to stopping there. This gets really twisted, people. Recently, representatives from the Beast from the East came out and said, the U.S. wants this to happen. This is what they're telling their people and the world, that we want this to happen. And do you know why we want it to happen? Because it targets blacks, and the U.S. hates blacks. That's China's statement on this. If you think I'm kidding, research it. This is what they have said. So they're not just going to destroy our country. They're going to divide us as even more. They're going to do everything they can. They see where we're struggling, and they are going after it. They're going to create something that doesn't exist and make it 500 times worse. The man that saved my life is black. But they would have you believe that every white person in the world hates black people across the board. Today, representatives from both parties, right, were asked about the platform of the party. That would be Democrats and Republicans. And they were both asked one question. What, nationally, right, domestically, what is the biggest threat facing America today? One of the parties said, Fent. Plain and simple, Fent. That's the biggest threat. It's killing more people than anything else in our country. It is an attack on our country. Fent is the biggest threat to our country today. Do you know what the other party said? Guns. The other party said that Americans having guns is the biggest threat to our country. You know which one did it, right? Do I need to tell you? The party that currently has the White House believes that guns, which in the U.S. last year took the lives, by the time you boil it on down, they claim about 40,000 or some huge number. But by the time you remove people that took themselves out, right? People who took someone out in self-defense, law enforcement doing their job, whatever, you get down to under 19,000. Is that bad? Sure. I want to see 19,000 people die. But there are people at the CDC that are leaking stuff. And they're talking about numbers that are astronomical. People, we're closer to the 500 to 600, maybe 1,000 people a day that are dying. The numbers are skewed beyond belief. And you know what? When somebody overdoses on fent, you got to get there really quick. You got the golden 10 minutes. If you don't get to that person in 10 minutes with a boatload of Narcan, right? If you don't have naltrexone and you don't have a lot of it, you're not bringing that person back. Unless, of course, what they've done is trank. Because there's really nothing you're going to do to bring people back. There is something that has the ability to work on the A2 androgenic receptor, right? As opposed to the MU2 receptor, which is what Fent works on. This is working on a completely different receptor, and for that reason, the antidote does nothing. Now, there is an antidote for this, but it's a rare substance, and it's not something people carry on an ambulance. Now, maybe they're going to start, but as of right now, this is a death sentence. And when I did the show Trank, this stuff had been found in 2 states, which scared the hell out of me. The fact that it had leaked outside the borders of Philadelphia, right, of Pennsylvania, became scary to me because I know how the drug thing works. I watched how it happened when crack escaped Los Angeles. Now, this drug has been found and people have overdosed and died from Trank in 36 states. 36. And it's not a controlled substance. I watched a video today about a guy that got busted. They were telling the story of the police who busted a guy, but he had nothing to mix it with. He just had the xylazine. Can't do anything to him. How's that? He rides around town with enough powder to kill everybody in the city, but he didn't break any laws. We can write laws that a person can't put down a towel and sit on a sidewalk. We can pass laws that you can't discriminate against hairstyles. There's a law in California this year passed that you can't discriminate against somebody based on their hairstyle. We need that friggin' law. But we don't need a law that says that xylazine ought to be a controlled substance. An analog of Klonopin in powder form, which you can inhale, you can snort, you can bang, you can any way you want to get it. You can eat it. So these pills that they're pressing, you got it. They're putting horse tranquilizer in with Fent and pressing it into Perk 30s. Ask yourself why you take a drug that's already killing unbelievable numbers of people and add a substance to it that will make it more deadly and make it so that the antidote doesn't work. You think they're getting rich selling this stuff at $2 a bag? I mean, I'm sure they're making money, but $2 a bag? They were making more money just selling Fent. They didn't have to go through a process of buying the stuff, cutting the stuff. People, I'm telling you right now, that the people they're working for want us dead. Plain and simple. They want us dead. This stuff is poison. It's not drugs. It's not drugs. They wrap it up that way. If you could see the sores, I debated today putting up images of this. But they are so horrifying. Horrifying. They're things you have not, I promise you've never seen anything like it. And let me give you a little perspective on people who inject. You wear out your veins really quickly. Even if the product is really pure and you're really good at it and you always catch the vein the first time, veins still end up getting inflamed. They get angry. They may not collapse, but they certainly make it very difficult to inject into, so you got to go find another one. And if you've been shooting dope for a year or two, you're going to be here. You know, it's a really popular spot. And I saw pictures today of people with open, gaping, black covered sores on their neck. But the biggest threat in this country is guns. This stuff's in 36 states. And the biggest threat in this country today is guns. If you've ever used a needle, you know that if you miss the vein and you continue to push a little bit, you can do that intentionally. If you don't have any veins left, people will just stick it into their arm and they don't even look for a vein. It's called muscling or skin popping, and it's still going to get you, it's going to get you high. You're not going to get the rush that it would get if it got into your veins instantly. But there are people, and they're usually older drug addicts, many of whom just don't have the time, the patience, or anything left to stick a needle in, so they just skin pop it. Those people are losing their arms and their legs, and I mean overnight. Overnight. They're taking full shots of this stuff into the arm. I saw an interview today with a guy who, I'm not kidding you, his hands were twice the size of mine. And I got paws, right? I got big hands. This dude's hands were twice the size. And the woman interviewing him said, "You're not afraid that this could cause amputations?" He said, "Nah, man, I got a lot of friends that have had amputations already." In the same clip, by the way, not 30 seconds later, they show a guy sitting in a wheelchair that had just lost a foot. He said, "No, absolutely." And the woman said, "But you still do it." And he said, "Yeah, man, you can't quit this. You'll go into seizures if you try." And then she interviewed a woman who rolled up her pant leg and showed the most disgusting open sore you've ever seen on her shin. And the woman said, you know, asked a question about missing or whatever, and she just said, "No, I woke up in the morning and that was there." That's what this stuff is doing. It's turning people into zombies, and it's making limbs get cut off. It's overwhelming hospitals with infection. They're setting up wound care centers in tents to take care of this. And you know what, people? When Trank came out, I said, you watch, it's going to go nationwide. You watch, it's going to go nationwide. This morning when we got up here in Nevada, they had body cam video of a officer going to a call where a woman was standing in the doorway, and you hear the voice. It's that sheer panic of, "Oh my God, my friend is dead." right? That overdose panic when you don't know what to do and you're panicked. And she said, that person just fell down. Well, while the police are sitting there and talking, and he said to the guy, get Narcan, go get it now, get it. While they're doing that, one of the other two people there collapses from an overdose. And he gets on the radio, and this is all on body cam. Look it up, it's in Reno. And he gets on the radio and he goes, we got another one that's down. 30 seconds later, number 3 drops. Xylazine in horses and cattle, the effects of the drug take about 3 to 4 minutes. What do you think it's taken in people? Right? Because obviously, body size, muscle mass, all of those things play a very big deal in the metabolism of drugs. What do you think this is just doing to addicts? It's sad coming on here and doing shows like this. It really is. But when 90% of the drugs in an entire state, and a state that, by the way, is famous for people doing opiates in public, people shooting dope on the street. There's nowhere in the U.S. right now that is more depraved, right? That is more lost to that side of the game than Kensington Avenue. Nowhere in the U.S. That's as ugly as it gets. Kensington's bad. Really, really bad. If 90% of that dope is cut, right now, that epidemic, the next place that's really going is New York. They're already busting it all over New York City. This is what's coming. And it's painful as hell to do the shows. They are. They're not fun to do. And I'll get emails from people today that don't like watching them. And I'm sorry. I really am. People, I would rather do a feel-good show. I would rather talk about the nuts and bolts. But there is nobody talking about this. And there are consequences to what is happening. The Democrats think that guns are the biggest problem in this country. It shows you how much they care about us. We're write-offs. Right? Screw those junkies. They're not worth saving. And all of this gets whitewashed. Doesn't get into the news. Today you watch the news, you're not going to hear about this. There's not going to be anything on the news about this. And I promise you something right now. The computers that listen to everything that we say and determine whether or not other people should see this video, it ain't going to happen. It's not. It literally falls down to us to scream about this. It's not fun. It's not a fun subject. But my God, there is nothing right now in this world that is threatening this country more than this. Do you have any idea how bad this is going to get? Wait till they start cutting this stuff with nits. It's the next thing to come. They're looking for the biggest amount of bang for the buck. Nitazines is the cheapest crap in the entire world to make. You don't need a scientist. You can give a recipe to someone who can make a cake, and they can make nits. So isonitazine, it's going to be isotrank, and it's going to kill everybody that touches it. It really is. I mean, unless you're just a hardcore junkie. So what do you do for those people? You let the infections kill them. That's what you do. And then you overwhelm the entire hospital system in the U.S. What do you think it's going to be like in 3 years when we've got 400,000 people a year going in with open sores that need to be treated? I saw a doctor interviewed today that said, I've never seen wounds like this. They don't heal. My brother could tell a story. We knew a guy, and I won't say his name because I don't know whether or not he's still alive, but we knew a guy that had these sores on his arms, and he did speedballs. And if you're not initiated in that kind of drug use, it's a mixture of 50-50 or 60-40 or whatever your preference is of the white stuff from Colombia that you put up your beak and the tar. And you mix them up. The idea being that instead of going up and then coming straight down and crashing and then wanting the next one, you would go straight up, and as you start coming back down, you got a bit of a decrease. So you go from that rush to then just chilling out on the couch. But this guy's arms were so eaten up, you've never seen anything like it. There were places where it looked like the arm was this thick. And he would be picking through, literally through the scab trying to find a vein. It was the most disturbing thing I've ever seen. I remember conversations with my brother going, how does anybody get to that point? How does anybody get to that point? How does an entire city get to that point? The next thing you're going to hear is the entire country, 36 states. This product is dirt cheap to make. Dirt cheap. They're slinging it for $2 a fix. Yeah, they're not pushing anybody out of the market now, are they? This is terrifying. I'm not kidding you. This absolutely terrifies me. There's no other way to put it. So far, we've seen Philadelphia, Connecticut, Michigan, California, Maryland, Washington, and those are the big ones. Those are states that they're calling this an epidemic. It's in 36 states, but those right there, Philadelphia, Connecticut, Michigan, California, Maryland, and Washington State. They're saying it's already epidemics there. Just a matter of time before it hits every other place. This is the future of what's going on the street. So I'll tell you something. When I do shows and I say, you got to talk to your kids. You got to talk to your kids. What if you're smart enough to not shoot the stuff? What if you just eat it in pill form, or you snort it up your nose, or you smoke it off a tin foil? Well, then it has this nice side effect where it strips all the iron out of your blood. Say it takes 2 to 3 months. You need iron in your blood. But it causes iron deficiencies to the point where these people need to be hospitalized or they die. So these people that, remember, we've been hearing all kinds of stuff in the news where they find homeless people that are dead. And yeah, they've got stuff in their system, but they didn't overdose. It's breaking people's bodies down. You don't have to overdose. It's just going to kill you. It's just going to kill you. This is the reality of the drug game in our country. And we can pass laws that a rock star can't walk up an aisle. Can't have that. Right? Think of the dangers. Can't have somebody sitting on a lawn chair on a sidewalk during the 4th of July. Think of all the terrible things that could happen. But xylazine, don't worry about it. No reason to control it. Just let people go into any feed store in the country and buy preloaded syringes full of it. Or allow our biggest enemy, right? Everybody's on the edge of their seat waiting to see if we go to WW3 with the beast from the east, right? We're all, just waiting for the shoe to drop because it's looking ugly. But we're not smart enough to pass a law saying, you know what? If it's an analog of anything, you can't ship it to this hemisphere. I don't care what it's an analog of. You can't ship it. Instead, we'll just do one drug at a time for the next 25 years if we're alive that long. This is disturbing. I really hope that this is as disturbing to everyone else as it is to me. Because this is bad news, people. This is bad news. And then if the beast from the east attacks and we got to start drafting people, who the hell are we going to draft? Who the hell are we going to draft? We're going to draft drug addicts, people that are so strung out. You know how long it's going to take somebody to get off of this crap? You got to wean them off. There's no cold turkey on this. You quit cold turkey on this, you're dead. You're dead. People are going into jails right now all over the U.S. and saying to them, when they see the nurse, are you doing any dope? Yeah. I shoot opiates, but that's it. Probably unaware of the fact that Trank is the strongest benzo that you could ever put in your body. And you've been doing it 2-3 times a day for 6 months. You'd be dead by the time the sun comes up. Your body cannot detox off of that. You have to give somebody benzos and decrease the dosage over about 2 weeks. We're in deep trouble. We're in deep trouble. And there's nobody doing anything about it. And look, I'll tell you something. Both sides of the aisle have come up short. I've said that from the very first day. That both sides of the aisle are coming up viciously short on this. But when you ask them about their platform, at least one of them acknowledges that this is an issue. I've tried this to keep out of the fray. You can't anymore. You can't. Not if you're going to be true to the mission of what you're doing. You can't. Stay out of this. I'm telling you right now, I couldn't vote for a Democrat if you paid me, because they don't give a crap about the people I give a crap about. I promise you, there's 3,600 people on this boat, and they don't care if every one of us is dead by the weekend. As long as somebody doesn't shoot us. That would bother them. That would really bother them. But I don't care if we die from drugs. This is affecting every single part of our society, whether you realize it or not. This is not the thing that I think everybody misses in this whole epidemic is it's not just about drugs anymore. It's what it's doing to the culture. Watch the news. Watch 10 minutes of it. I watched a 250-pound kid, bigger than me, kick the ever-loving hell out of a female teacher today. And I don't watch the news, people. I don't. I literally don't. I walked by and caught maybe 3 minutes of the news while I was taking notes for the show. And I mean, I'm talking about a monster. This kid looked like he could have played linebacker. So they started to play a montage of all of the teachers who have had the crap kicked out of them in school. Did this ever happen when you were a kid? Honestly. While all of this is going on, what are our kids doing? They're on TikTok. The ones that dope aren't killing, TikTok's killing their mind. Trank is coming to a city near you. I'm telling you right now. Trank is coming to a city near you. It's happening. There's no way to get around it. And you have absolutely no idea what form it's going to take. By the way, when I say that seizures in Kensington found xylazine in 90%, it doesn't matter what they seized. How's that? That's all drug seizures. All drug seizures. So you think you're doing some blow? No. You got xylazine in it. You think you're doing whatever? No, there's xylazine in it. They're putting this crap in everything. Why? Because you can't give Narcan for it. And because if you quit it cold turkey, it's going to kill you. Honestly, if you think about this, how is this not engineered? You got to have your head so far buried in the sand to believe that dope dealers don't see this as a problem for business. You'd rather sell $2 bags? If you didn't cut it with this crap, you'd still sell $10 bags. And trust me, people, the addict will come up with $10. You'd rather drop your product price and then make it so that people don't need to shoot as often. You believe that? Honestly, does anyone believe that? That a drug dealer sat around and said, you know what we need to do? We need to lower our price point so that we make less money. And then if we could get them to do less of it. Come on. Nobody believes that. Nobody. And the propaganda machine, what you got to know is that if China is coming out and making public statements that we are allowing this to happen in our country, we're happy about it because it's killing off people who are of minorities. What do you think they're telling our kids on TikTok? That's their public statement. What do you think kids are hearing on TikTok? What do you think they're steering toward American kids? We're in deep trouble. People, we are in deep trouble. There's no other way to look at this. We're in deep, deep trouble. You know that there's a TikTok version in China, and it does calculus, right? It teaches them science. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. If we are fortunate enough to still be around and be a country 20 years from now, I would not want to be here. I really wouldn't. I'm long in the tooth, and I'm not particularly healthy. But I fear for my kids. My God. By the way, people, I want to, before I shift this over and start talking to people, because I really want to hear where everybody weighs in on this. I want to hear, I want someone to tell me I'm crazy. Because it doesn't take anything to research this. Nothing. So how is it that nobody on the other side of the aisle from the Republicans think this is a problem? That means that they got together and said, whatever you do, don't mention fent. Don't mention that stuff, right? Don't jump on that bandwagon. It's going to give them a victory. Just let everybody die. They're cool with that. That's where we're at. But I want to tell you something that is really near and dear to me. And, you know, we talk about substances being insidious, and there's nobody that is, I've said before, and it's a weird way to put it, but the one thing that you got to say about drug addiction is it's certainly not prejudice. It gets everybody. It doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what religion you are. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what gender you are. It will get everybody. And we've talked about the genetic predisposition to being a drug addict, and that's the nature versus nurture. If you watched mom and dad do dope, but you don't have the genetic disposition, are you more likely to become an addict? But I got a call today from a family member who said, I need help. I'm addicted. From a family member. And I'll tell you something. I'm friggin' proud of them. One of the problems that we have in this country is that when something like that happens, people bury their heads in the sand, right? And they say things to their kids like, whatever you do, don't tell anybody. My son today called me and said, I'm addicted. I got to stop drinking. It's destroying my life. I'm unhappy. I'm miserable. And I drink way too much. And I said, do you mean that you consume way too much at once, or you're drinking way too much as in every day? And he said, all the above. I run a sobriety channel. And you know something, people? I thank God that it's booze. If my son had fallen into the same drugs that I was doing, he'd be dead. Because the stuff that's on the street is killer. But I'm here to tell you right now, and then I would like to lead by example. And I'm not saying this for the benefit of anybody in the world, because it's a stone cold fact. But I want you to know I'm so proud of my son. I really am. I'm so proud of my son. And he's doing it a long time before I did. And you know what, people? I wasn't stupid. This is something that I absolutely knew he was going through. But, what am I going to do? I'm going to drive and grab him by the hair. I'll be honest. I prayed he'd hit rock bottom. I prayed that this would happen before he hit 46. I didn't want him to go down that road as long as I did. He's a lot smarter than his father. Thank God. He really is. My son is way smarter than I am. And that's a real benefit. But I would love some prayers, right, for my son Calhoun, because he is going to be embarking on the sobriety train for the next 2 weeks. Are going to be tough. On the bright side, he has a bulletproof support system. There are so many people that want to help him, and you know what? It takes guts. It really does. We all know what it takes because we've all done it. But it takes guts to fight this. It takes guts to step up to the plate and say to somebody, I need help. Those are the hardest words to utter as a human being. They're just uncomfortable to say. But I am proud as hell of my son. And, I've invited him to the boat. And, I would never, ever say this if I didn't talk to him first. You know that, right? I didn't just drop this one on him. I said, how do you feel about the boat knowing this? He said, yeah, I'm fine with that. I said, good. Because I don't want him to be ashamed of this. I don't want anybody on this planet to be ashamed of this. Do you know how many people in this country are going to die today because of shame? You know how many people today are doing that poison I've been talking about for 30 minutes because they're too ashamed to tell their family they're on it? The stigma that hangs over the disease that we all have has to come to a friggin' stop. There's never been a time in this world where it is more dangerous to make somebody hide because we look down our nose at them. Honestly. And if you're going to be that person, then I demand you start ragging on everybody that has diabetes. Right? You're going to treat addicts poorly, then you need to start crapping on people that can't process sugar. And then pick any other disease you want, right? Pick a couple. Because we got alcoholism and gambling, and we've got, right, all of those fall into one addiction. So I think we should be able to pick on every other disease out there. Sounds stupid, doesn't it? You imagine saying to somebody, wimp, right? Can't even process sugar. You'd never say something like that. You would never say he's weak-willed, or it's just stupid, isn't it? I dream a day is coming where it will sound just that stupid to give anybody crap because they're addicted to a substance. My son never had a chance. Not from a managing drug standpoint. I told him that this morning. The combination of his mother and his father and how he grew up, no chance whatsoever. And I told him that when he was a kid. But you know what? It's one of those things that you really have to experience for yourself. But I cannot. If I did the rest of the show just talking about how proud I am of my son, it wouldn't be a problem stretching that another 20 minutes. And hopefully we're going to be seeing him a lot on the lifeboat, because this is a place to get clean and this is a place to stay sober. And you know what, people? If your kid calls you, boy, you literally need to tell them how proud you are. If the first thing out of your mouth isn't, I'm proud of you for calling me and telling me this, then you're probably making a mistake. Sadly, our society doesn't encourage that, right? Our society encourages somebody to go, well, where did Tommy go wrong, right? Here's the thing. Where did I go wrong? Plenty of places. I'll take full responsibility. But genetically, that's just part of the deal. Sadly, that's the truth. All right, so before I start reading everybody's comments and engaging with the team, I wanted to tell you that I'm waiting on one photo. I'd like to see a photo from Mr. Wolf. Mr. Wolf, if you're here, send me a picture. If you haven't got your watch yet, you should. So check. But I got a photo of M. Hunt with his watch today, and it tickled me pink. I'm not going to lie to you. It made me really, really happy. He looks fantastic holding that thing. So we're going to be taking some pictures of the first contest winners here on the boat, and we'll be posting those. Give him my email address if he wants to find out what alcohol does to a person who drinks it all day for 20 years. Yeah, you know what? He got a sign of that from Mom. Fortunately, though, truthfully, his mom is about 20 years sober and has absolutely done it right. Somebody that I'm really, really proud of. We're not the best of friends. We really are not. But I am proud as hell of what she's been able to do, getting sober and keeping sober. Pagan, welcome to the second month. Glad that you're here. Glad that you're on month 2. I'm proud of your son. Many prayers. My daughter died a second-generation addict from her mom and dad on both sides. I have 2 others I believe will make it. I know Calhoun will make it too. I do too. And you know what? My heart bleeds for you. I wish that there was something that, that I could say or do, but I know that it was a very difficult thing. Guilt and shame, 2 emotions we're all familiar with here. No question, Dave. No question, right? And 2 emotions that, you know what? They have their place. Truthfully, they do. I just don't think it's an addiction. I did a show the other day on how to forgive yourself, and I think it's kind of poignant. If you haven't seen it, you really should try to find it. Hey, now that you're looking at chat, can I just say, wow, that is one badass shirt. You like that? I look like a tennis ball. You know what? I actually like this. I haven't got it yet, but when I do, I'll send a picture. Alrighty. I'll track that because it should be there. If it's not there today, you may live in the sticks. I don't know, but I will track that, Mr. Wolf, because I actually sent it to you before I sent it to M. Hunt. So we'll see. If it's not there today, it'll be there tomorrow. Much love to your son. He can do it. Yes, he can. There's no question. Let's see the watch, says AKA Heather Joy. You will. I'm going to post it over on the crew page over on Facebook. Just Ruth, good to see you. Join the W. Glad that you're here. Coburn, I don't see you, but I see someone saying your name. So, yes, that's a bright shirt, Tommy. I almost needed sunglasses. I could have turned the lights down a little bit. Maybe that would have been a good idea. If ever I wear my... if ever I wear the tennis ball again, I'll dim the lights a little bit. Thank you, Full of Hope. She said it's a powerful live tonight. You know what? It really is. I would wear it now that you said that tennis ball, though. You know what? This shirt didn't belong to me. I got this from a family member who used to wear it, and I used to give him such hell. It was my dad's shirt, and I used to give him hell every time he'd put it on. He'd go, "You don't like this shirt?" I'd go, No. Played a lot of tennis. I used to give him a lot of hell about it. But I'm going to be really honest. You know why I wear this shirt? Because it still smells like him. It really does. And I know it's been washed a gazillion times, but this thing still smells like my dad, and I absolutely love it. But yeah, it's loud as hell. The good news is I'm not going to get hit by a car. You know what I mean? People can see me from all over the place. At Spanx. Wow, did I drop Spanx? Did I say that? Or is he here? Because Spanx Calhoun, that is my son. I used to tell him he looked like a highlighter in it. Well, that's a good one too. I think the tennis ball's better. But Spanx Calhoun, yeah, that's my boy. There he is. Yeah, one of my two favorite people on planet Earth. We've been the best of friends now for about 31 years. A highlighter. It's not a bad one though. It's a pretty decent reference. The highlighter. Honestly, I still prefer the tennis ball, but it's a good reference. Good to see you. A boatload of people are all supporting you here. And you know what, people? Boy, that's what it's all about. And that's no joke. You know, I love items that hold the memories. I do too, Rip. I really do. You know, and there's something about the whole olfactory senses thing. Everyone here is awesome. We're like threads in a tapestry. I like that. You know, people, I've just been talking to a lot of people, and we've been talking a lot about you could use that shirt as a green screen. I wonder what would happen if I wore it on a green screen. Would you only see my head? I should go over to Pyre's house and see what happens. I've been talking to a lot of people lately because we're doing I'm doing this whole series on relapse and relapse prevention and things like that. And there's all kinds of things that are applicable that just keep coming up. And one of the things that we run into again and again and again and again is the fact that if you don't reach out before you use, and I'm just, you know what, I said the other day, people, I'm not pulling any more punches. You know, if I lose subscribers, I'm good. Honestly, if there's 1,600 of us, but they're all serious about getting sober, I'm fine. I'm not pulling any more punches. You know, for a long time, I ran the show and wrote the show and did all of the things with the idea of, you know, if I say that, you know, there are going to be people that unsubscribe. If your sobriety isn't that important, that something teeny that I say is going to offend you, then that's fine. Hopefully you find someone that's going to say everything you want to hear, you know, but you got to commit 100% to being sober. You got to commit 100%. And that means that when the time comes that you feel like you're going to use, you pick up the phone. Because I promise you that if you don't pick up the phone, then you already chose to get high. There's nothing magical. There's nothing, you know, I don't know what happened. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. You do. You knew that if you called somebody, you weren't going to get high. And you so badly wanted to get high. And it's not your fault. It's your brain. But I'm not going to, I can't play the games anymore, right? You know, this is life or death stuff. Because I don't care what you're getting high on, right? The odds are that there's bad stuff in it. For real. Unless you're buying it from a dispensary or you're getting it at a pharmacy. I just wouldn't be doing anything. For real. It's terrifying to me. And the stories just keep getting worse. And I have promised people for a long time that I'm trying to cut down on these shows. I really am. I'm trying to cut down on these shows. But good Lord, every day there's something else. And what drove this one is 90% of all seized drugs had xylazine in it. And the fact that this isn't a controlled substance. Holy hell, we need to talk to a politician. And you know what? Don't make xylazine illegal. Don't. It's not going to get it done. What's got to get it done is we don't allow analogs of anything in this country. Because we're just stupid. We'll say no analogs of xylazine. And they'll have an analog of something else, right? Some other benzo or some other. They're just going to keep doing this to us. If we had gotten smart enough to say no analogs of anything, we wouldn't be going through this right now, right? Because Fent was coming in already ready to roll. You could just buy Fent from the beast from the east. And we passed a law that said we weren't going to allow that. And we cut a deal with them saying you're not allowed to ship that in there. And they went, okay. And then they just shipped over all the ingredients to make it, right? All the analogs ready to roll. Tweak here, tweak there, and you got, you know, some killer stuff to put onto the street. I am addicted now to eating healthy. I traded drugs for food. You know what? Unpredictable Tony, if you're drinking, I mean, if you're eating healthy, awesome. What a great trade. Sorry, so many beautiful people on the boat tonight. I can't say hi to everybody individually. I'm too slow. You know what, people? There's a lot of you here, so let me cover this too, because I covered on the morning show, but not all of you catch the morning show. The boat grows, and more people need help. And I reach out and I talk to people and I answer a lot of emails. And at the same time, I sell a bunch of these, right? Because that's my 9 to 5. And the boat's a 40-hour-a-week job, sometimes a 45-hour-a-week job. And the other business of mine is a 45-hour-a-week job. And I'm cool with that. I really am. But after talking to my mentor, my sponsor, and he's just the most logical cat in the whole world. And he was like, what can you cut out that is less likely to kill someone? Because he knows what's going on in the streets. Like, all he can do is read. And so I answer, thank you, Vivian P. That means a lot to me. I mean that. She says, I like the morning show. I've been answering a lot less comments. It doesn't mean that I don't love everybody, and I love the comments, I really do, but it's a double-edged sword. One of the things is I found myself almost getting self-worth out of comments, and that's not a road I need to go down, right? Because truthfully, you can be addicted to anything. You can. And I've got ego issues. A lot of people with drugs have ego issues, and having been a public speaker, I got ego issues. If I stay away from that, and realize that I'm lucky that there are people here watching me, and I don't read all of the nice things that people say, at least not every day. I found myself rolling over in the morning, grabbing the phone to check to see if anything really nice was said about me, and that's a terrible road for a guy like me. I'm just being really honest. And I told the people on the morning show, I went back and got out notebooks, and I read what I did to get off some really heavy stuff that I had been on for 3 decades. And I'm applying the exact same formula to things like spending less time on that phone, right? Being less attached to social media in terms of what people think about me and all of that, because I don't need to go down that road. And the other one is my raging. And I'll tell you something, I didn't rage today. And boy, I had reasons to. I restored the most beautiful pocket watch you've ever seen, right? And it's not technically a pocket watch. It's what's called a bomb timer. And it would be in B-52s. It looks just like a pocket watch. But you hit a button and it tells you what the ground speed is. It's a matter of doing math on this little... Anyway, but it's an antique, and it used to be... I tried to help algos by doing the comments, etc. too. It's just so overwhelming. I answered 50,000 of them. I really did. So I would love to keep doing it, but that's to get... I don't need anybody... If God forbid I start believing you guys on what a great person I am. I don't need to... And I love that you say it. I really do. I'm not bagging on that. I love the kind things that you say. And what I'm going to do is once a week, I'm going to take about 2 hours. And I'm going to go through, and I'm not going to hit every one of them. And if I don't hit every one of them, I don't want anybody thinking, oh, Tommy doesn't like me, or, it's just a matter of... So now you guys need to leave twice as many comments so that the algo, helps the boat more. But I was fixing this watch, and it's only got 9 numbers on it. Right, because it's time bombs. It was they were given to everyone who was on a B-52, and I put a brand new crystal in, and I cleaned everything up, and I made it perfect, and it was a full restoration. And I'm pushing the case closed, and I pushed my big fat thumbs through the crystal, and just shattered it, and buried a little glass in my thumb. On watches, these things are never glass, but on a pocket watch they are, because they're antiques. And not thinking about it, I just literally right. Ham-handed Tommy just crushed this thing. And I am lucky, 7th son. Thank you, brother. I mean that. I love you, 7th. Hey, Alan Ballantyne, I didn't see you. My friend Alan. Alan, I love you, bud. David Kimball, I'm glad you're here. Uh-oh. Hey, Brandon. Hey, Brandon Calloway, good to see you, bud. Can you order fence strips online from sources I'd consider more trustworthy than smoke shops? Would be good to have Regent tests on hand too. Conky Dong, let me talk to some people here. Fentanyl test strips are legal in the state of Nevada. This is one of the states that made it legal. By summer, you'll be able to get fent test strips legally in all states. That's something that they did push through, which is good. And you're going to be able to buy Narcan over the counter in all 50 states, right? Or as one of our previous presidents said, in all 52 states. I won't tell you which president that was, but we did have a president that thought there was 2 extra states. But there isn't, I promise. Yeah, so you're going to be able to buy Narcan in every state, and you're just going to be able to walk in. They're legal in California too? Yeah, good. We have boxes. I think I took pictures of it once. Downtown, they've got boxes that businesses paid for. It's got nothing to do with the state or anything else. And it says emergency overdose on the box. Bolted to walls, put on telephone poles. And if you open it up, inside there are test strips. And as well as Ukraine may as well be another state at this point. Johnny Law, not going to argue that with you at all. Sorry, I haven't said hello to everybody. I wanted to listen in completely, Tommy. You know what? You make me feel guilty. People, you know what? You can talk to one another. I know that was on me, people. That was on me. And I don't want anybody, please, do what you do, guys. Do what you do. What I was saying was this. As a public speaker working to the same room for a year and a half, it's not you guys' fault. You've heard almost everything I've ever said. And I'm not doing the shows. Don't take this the wrong way. This part of the show is so you guys can talk. Really. So if I don't concentrate on it, I don't think about it. I'm not offended. It's just tough to watch it reading, roll it up. You follow what I'm saying? So I've turned it off over here. And when I do my shows, when I'm shooting these shows, I'm doing them for people that haven't seen this before. Imagine if this is the first time you've ever come to the lifeboat. And I come on and I say, there's a drug out there called xylazine. It's the most dangerous stuff. Hey, what are you doing? No, I didn't. Okay, sorry. And then I go back and I go, oh, no, that's funny. And I look like somebody that's having a conversation with people that aren't there. And if you catch me the first night, you don't even know it was a live feed. They're like, this guy needs help. He says he's off dope. He's talking to people that aren't even there. You know what I'm saying? So I want everybody interacting. I really do. It's why this is the way it is. And it's why we've all become a family. I just can't read it. You follow me? I just can't know that because I promise if one of you says dog 20 times, I'll be right in the middle of it. You know, xylazine is used as an anti-dog. It's going to happen because it's a visual thing. And for the longest time, your comments ran up the camera, big as hell, so that I didn't lose track of anything that was being said. Now I've got people that will text me. If somebody comes on here and says, I'm hurting, I'm thinking of using, or somebody donates $100, you know, something like that, or they go from 1 month to 2 months, or any of those things, I instantly get a little text on my phone, which is great. And all of you have basically said that you think the product right now is better. And I have some people that are hard as hell on me. I've got some critics that are really, really legit. You know what I mean? I've got people that they know they're not going to hurt me if they go, boy, let me tell you where you're screwing up. For instance, quit saying right so much. You know, I never did it when I was on stage, but now that I'm so relaxed here, right? I say that way too often. It's one of those things. Full of Hope says it's so much better. Thank you, Full of Hope. I really appreciate that. And I'll tell you something else. It's a whole lot easier. It's a whole lot easier. You may think to yourself, you know, doing 50 minutes without playing off people. No, it's a whole lot easier to do what I do. Alan Ballantyne just gifted 5 lifeboat memberships. Good Lord. Alan, you are a beast. You know what? I would like to see that man come to the United States and hang out with me for a couple of weeks. I really would. I can't think of too many things that would make me happier. I would like to see him come over here, hang out for a couple of weeks. You know, maybe we check out part of the United States. I have, Miss Dragon says, Alan, how do you do that? I have an iPhone and a MacBook. Chili Mama Bird. I should say Ensign Chili Mama Bird. Yeah, Alan, that is above and beyond, man. It really is. But now that you're all members, yeah, Alan has an Android. Reach out to Lady Crispin. According to her, or, you know what, send blue, blue Kool-Aid. Oh, by the way, everybody, our bobbleheaded partner today, you can get a message across without scrolling all over. Yeah, it's true. Without me scrolling all over the place. That's nice. Our bobbleheaded friend, Greg F. Great to see you, brother. I hope you're doing well. I pray for you every day, Greg. I really do. I hope you're doing better. In fact, toss a 1 up there. Greg needs prayers, people. Don't forget him in your prayers. The C+ math really affected the man's vision. Squirrel, oh, she's on her way. Have no fear. Squirrel is on her way. Our bobbleheaded partner has a birthday today. it's Mark's birthday. So if you see Mark on another platform, because you know the other platform, right? He goes over onto Marfugal and he works as a mod over there. So if you happen to run into our bobbleheaded partner over there, please wish the guy a happy birthday and tell him you love him. You know what I mean? He's done an awful lot for the boat. Continues to do an awful lot for the boat. And how often do you turn 104? You know what I mean? This is he's never going to turn 104 again. Yeah, Joanna, I feel the exact same way. And he's probably not going to be able to read that until later because he blows it up onto a much bigger screen. But he's a good dude. He really is. He's a really good dude. So, Charlie Mullins, good to see you. 105. I'm sorry, he's 105 today. I stand corrected. He's turned 105. You make those mistakes. You work with somebody for a long time. It kind of blends. Alrighty, peeps. We have gotten to that top of the hour, and you know what that means. And so does she. She literally just stood up in the basket, which isn't going to make this easy. Lay back down. What's the matter with you? Hey, lay back down. All right, people. I will be back on the 5s. We do this on the 5s every single day, right? So it's going to be 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. I will be here. Between now and then, reach out and try to save somebody. Don't judge anybody. If somebody in your family says that they have a problem, congratulate them on the guts it took to tell you that. Because that's not an easy phone call. We all remember those phone calls, right? They sucked. So when somebody does it to us, let's do better than everybody else did when we did it. You know? There she goes. She's going to be pretending to sleep because she just laid down. Alrighty, peeps. I'm Captain Tommy, and that is a cat in a basket. She gave you the hairy eye. Good night, everybody. I love you. M. Hunt, enjoy the watch. And Mr. Wolf, let us know when you get that. God bless.